Well, good morning, Tommy, Esau.
Good morning, Michelle.
It's really great to have you here in Cairns, Australia. And we've been working together this week in preparation for a conference, the Australian Association of Pacific Studies Conference, which we spoke at yesterday. And I guess this morning I'm just wanting to ask you a few questions, have a bit of a discussion about your experience of the conference,
Yeah.
why you presented what you presented and what you learned. And I guess for two reasons. One is to share the message of the content around sea level rise and how that's impacting your village, but also for other young researchers who might be presenting at their first international conference, which was your experience yesterday. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, great. So I guess my first question to you, Tommy, as a young man from Solomon Islands, what was your main message of the presentation yesterday?
Oh, the main message of the presentation yesterday was about the impact of sea level rise, how it affected our village at Abitona. And as you know, that the impact of sea level rise has caused a lot of physical impact and social impact and some other economic and also health impact. And so mainly the local problem that we face is um, it has some physical impact on the main pathway that we use to walk from different villages. Like it links 4 different villages together. And so there's, in the past we used to have the little, not formal bridge, but the logs that we used to put on the pathway that we used to walk on. But because of the sea level rise, it washes the logs away. And so it has becoming a problem to the community and to the school children and also to the old people and the mothers, especially when going to the market and to the hospital. And so because of that problem, as a local community, we come together and try and fundraise to build a bridge that can help people walk freely and help the link between those 2 villages together. And so that's the problem, and that's the response that the community did. And we see that the community actually happy about the response that we did to the problem.
And I understand that bridge that you built as a community response had no outside funding.
No, it's actually a community coming together and do some sort of fundraising and collecting money together and to build the bridge. And those money just for to pay the food and the fuel so that we can build the bridge. So there's no outside funding. It's only the community coming together and do small fundraising and put money together.
And I'm lucky enough to have been able to experience walking on the bridge recently, and
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful to be able to walk on a flat area across the top of the mangroves instead of hopping between logs in the mud.
Yes,
So
yes.
it is a great improvement, and I know from what the women were saying to us when we had our meeting in the village in August last year at Abatona that they really appreciated having that opportunity. I guess I'd like to also now ask a couple of questions about why you even did this presentation at the Australian Association of Pacific Studies Conference. What was it that motivated you to present yesterday?
Well, in fact, what motivated me to talk about the to talk to the conference is to help others see not only, see the impact of the sea level rise, not only in a big scale, but like in a small scale, like in the local community. How can we as a local community can, you know, come together and be a response to local problems. And so in that way, others might be, you know, can hear it and also learn from it. Yeah, if they also face that problem, they might also learn from that.
Thank you. As I've said earlier, this was your first international conference presentation. And I guess for those who might be listening who are new to presenting at conferences or who still feel nervous even though they might have presented a few times, would you like to share how you prepared for the conference presentation yesterday?
Oh yeah, prior to the presentation yesterday, we had some practice at home with David and Michelle and Lockie and Hemis, and so we did some few practice before we actually do the presentation, and it was very good. You know, before you do a presentation, the practice is really helpful for me to give me some ideas, some critics before I did my presentation. And just before we actually do the presentation, we also had some final practice in the room during lunchtime before me and Michelle actually do the presentation. So yeah, it's really helpful.
And I guess some might be curious to know how you actually felt before you started the presentation. What were your feelings?
Oh yes, just like any person, you know, your first time to present in any a public presentation. I felt a bit nervous, you know, for many reasons, you know, because like looking in the room, there are a lot of, you know, big people, qualified people, like doctors and professors were there, and different people, well-educated people, and it is an academic sort of conference, so you expect, you know, critics from different people. So I feel a bit nervous, but I just say to myself, you have to do it, and so yeah, and we did, and also with Michelle and David motivating me and helping me to be confident to do the presentation. I just do the presentation, but before that, I feel a bit nervous, of course. But after that, everything is fine.
Great. You did a fantastic job, by the way. I guess one question I have was around feeling connected to the audience. So there was probably about 60 people in quite a small room. Some were standing up and, you know, some were all squashed in. And I was wondering if you felt connected with that audience, or what, you know, did you start warming up to the audience, and how did that change the way that you presented?
All right. Like I've said, at first, before I went up to the stage and start talking, what makes me connected to the audience is I just look at the audience, and I guess my eye contact really helps me to connect with the audience, and also involving with the audience. For example, I mentioned some of the names of the audience, like Dr. Simon. Yeah, and so that helps me to be, you know, connected to the to the audience, and just by looking at the audience and just talking, it helps me to gain confidence as I go through the presentation.
So one time a very senior actually a chief scientist from CSIRO, told me that he looks across the crowd and finds a very interested and smiling face, and he sort of, that gives him confidence, and then he, you know, can look at the other audience members but knows that there's somebody there that's interested. Did you notice people smiling or encouraging you when you looked out towards them?
Yes. That is one of the things that I found and experienced yesterday when I did my presentation. Because when I talk in the front and I look at the people and then they smile at me, I sort of see some connection there, and that actually really helped me to talk more confidently. And so when you talk to the people and then like nodding their head and they smile at you, it seems that they understand what you're talking about, and they connected to what you're presenting.
Thank you, that's very helpful. Did you receive any feedback or comments after your presentation at the conference?
Oh yes, I received some positive comments when after the presentation. They said that, hey, you did a very good job, and there's one lady who also come to me and said, oh, thank you for that wonderful presentation, it was so nice and you speak so confidently. And so that makes me, you know, happy and feel good after the presentation. And there are also some of my friends who came during the presentation. They also give some very good comments about the presentation. They say that you know very well your topic, and then you just connect with the audience. And so that makes me really happy about those positive comments.
So one last question. What do you plan next? Where's your next speaking engagement?
Oh, actually, I think next week me and David are going to Sydney, and we will meet some important people like Professor Tim Flannery and the others. So I'm looking forward for another appointment there. But not only that, but also, who knows, in the future, I'm looking forward for an opportunity once I have in the future to present in another conference or something. So now I'm happy, and I'm looking forward for if there's any chance in the future to talk in a conference. I think I can handle that.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy, and we've been speaking in English today, and I know that's about your fourth language.
Yeah.
So I will just say in Korea, Baale Abaita. Thank you so much.
Baale Abaita.
Okay, goodbye.